This is a public service announcement for anybody considering joining the Magic Conch family. Welcome to another episode of the Magic Conch, the show where Randy and I sit on our asses and talk about absolutely
nothing.
The show has spoken.
Hey, Reaper. How the are you?
You can just call me Reaper, brah. Ah.
So that's a very apt name because I think today we're going to be talking about death. Let's talk about death, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
The ultimate ending. You being worm food. The end of all things.
Yes, which is really that's
Casting in all your chips.
You're continuing on as as a worm. That's how I interpret that. You become a worm after that.
It's true.
And you gotta work your way back up.
You could come back as a ficus too, but
that's true.
You know, that's if you're really lucky. You know,
yeah.
I know ficuses get a bad rap, but honestly, think about it. You can live for a shit ton of time as a plant. You don't need to eat. You don't need booty. Okay, you just
photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. By the way, that clip's going right here in post. You're welcome.
Probably. Fucking probably. If I don't die before that. Death is it's kind of fun. It's kind of neat. I don't know. Like, it's very depressing. But when you think about the alternative, being alive forever, that also sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to live forever. I need shit to end. At some point. Give me like 1,000 years. Give me a clean 1,000 years of being alive. And then I'll fucking pull the plug. Kill me after that.
You know, that's fair. I would say in order for something to be worthwhile, it has to end, right? I mean, I actually, you know what? I feel like that's an age-old debate for a lot of people I talk to. I always ask them, like, do you think something's inherently beautiful because it lasts forever or because it doesn't last very long? And everybody gives you different answers. And I'm going to pose the same question to people in the comment section. You let us know. Or you can just spam nothing in the chat, and then that's cool too, because that's right on brand. But we did it, guys. We're here. Out of all the Conch episodes, this is the one that scares the shit out of us the most.
Yes.
Contemplating our own mortality. We've done everything. We've done relationships.
Yes.
We've talked about COVID. Okay, we've talked about our fears.
All the time.
Now, insert thunder. It is the death episode of Magic Conch. You're here with us to celebrate the tiny death, as they call it. Right? Us, orgasms, the same thing. Anyways, welcome.
Call them tiny births.
Tiny births?
I call them pre-births.
That's an interesting concept, actually. I don't...
They would have been alive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that means you're a neglectee father like millions of times over.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I feel like we had a good time before I ejected them from my life. Now they live in the sewers of Denver. You know, and that's their own form of death there.
It's like goldfish, right? You toss them when you don't want them anymore. Some people down the toilet because they died, but like they always tell you as kids, like, oh, the goldfish didn't die, honey. It lives in the sewers now, and it's perfectly fine and happy. You did the right thing. So I think it's the same thing with your semen.
My parents just said my fish were dead. Like, they were like, yeah, this dude died, my dude. He's just dead.
Because your parents did it right, okay? They made you understand the importance of understanding death, which is what we're going to do in this episode right now.
Did you also flush your fish down the toilet? Did you have fish?
Bro, as you know, for all of our minority listeners out there, minority moms are a different breed. They really are, okay? I know your parents told you that your fish straight up died. My parents kind of took it a step further. My parents knew that my fish was dead, told me my fish was dead, but we also had a pet cat, so they took the fish and just fed it to the cat and said it's cycle of life, and we're giving nutrients to the cat, and that's far less wasteful than throwing it down the toilet.
That's the way to go. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, that sounds better than flushing them down. Like that just sounds like I don't really care what people do with my body after I'm dead, but I just feel like flushing down the toilet, my guy. Damn, fish deserve better than that. I think maybe
Wasteful. It's fucking wasteful.
Feed
You're right.
feed me to the cat. You could totally feed me to the cat. Also, Evil Ash Kelly's in the chat. Death question mark? Yes, today's episode of the Magic Conch, we're going to talk about death. We're starting with goldfish. We're going to work our way up to ourselves.
That's the hierarchy of things.
If you guys
how
have
you
any
approach
opinions
things.
of death, let us know.
It's dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome. Welcome. Contemplate your mortality with us. Share some stories with us. Confrontations with death. Experiences with death.
Have you died before and came back as something else, like some kind of Groundhog Day situation? There was a lot. Apparently in Groundhog's Day, Bill's character died like thousands of times. Like he lived, I guess, thousands of days worth of time that has passed. That's a lot of death. I think the next scene after he breaks the cycle on Groundhog's Day, spoiler alert for Groundhog's Day, I think he killed himself for real. I think he just was like, I can't take life anymore. I experienced too much. Like imagine watching like one rerun of a show for like 1,000 years. I would want to kill myself.
No wonder God has left us. Can you imagine if God is omnipotent, right? That means that God has seen our lives already and continues to watch all of our lives simultaneously, which means that they are in a constant state of reruns, which is crazy. I feel like that's a fate worse than death. Or maybe that's why we deserve death. I don't know. I'm trying to make a connection between death and the never-ending existence that is our lives on a spiritual level, but I'm still working on it. But Evil Ash Kelly, what do you think? What do you think about death? Tell us.
Yeah, quoting from Kelly here, there's a movie called Leafy, A Hen into the Wild, where a hen adopts a duck and raises it, but it's also trying to survive from a predator weasel. And the hen ends up suiciding so the weasel can feed the children. Shit.
All right.
Is that good death? Yeah, it seemed like a pretty good death. That seemed like made use of your
wasteful.
life and body. I just want less waste, right? Like I get the idea of graveyards, the symbolism of trying to reflect on loved ones who are passed. I get it. But also, I don't think we can keep doing the graveyard thing. I don't think that's a sustainable solution for memorials of loved ones. Like it's going to run out of land. You could use that land for other shit.
True. I mean, they tried to do that in the movie Poltergeist, right? They just built the house over the graves. They're trying to coexist. It just didn't work.
It didn't work out for them. They did it wrong though. They did it wrong. You gotta ask the ghosts first. Like, hey, can we build property for like homeless shelters on the graveyard? I feel like they wouldn't say no. Right? They're fine.
Exactly. Also, I do like that example because it kind of brings in the concept of altruism, right? If you're going to die or give up existing, right? Would you rather it be wasteful, like burying yourself in a casket? By the way, okay, just because I don't believe in burying myself in a casket doesn't mean we don't like our viewers who do want to be buried in a casket. Just let us know why, okay? Maybe you really love entropy. You love creating chaos and disorder. Then good for you, all right? But outside of that, let me know your opinions. But altruism is important for me because if you're going to do something, I always think you should do it with a purpose. So if I'm a fucking meerkat, right? And I'm in this beautiful meerkat relationship, right? I found the meerkat of my life, my dreams. All right, it's my muse and my flame.
Right.
And I see that a fucking cheetah is about to come and eat that shit. Guess what? I will sacrifice myself for that partner I have that's a meerkat. And I think that's a death justified. That's cool. Like, that's not wasteful.
All of eternity. I'm like 4 years old. I'm like, what the fuck? Those are my options when I die? That's some high risk, high reward. Holy shit. It was like 4 or 5 years old.
I didn't sign up for this shit.
I was like, what kind of place is this? The fuck am I? That's death. Shit. All right. I guess it's 50-50. So, yeah, that's probably where a lot of my problems came from, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What?
I would say...
What about you?
It was similar. I would say it's my first introduction with death was in like media because growing up, we're the millennial age group, so we grew up with things like Toonami and anime and stuff like that. And let me tell you this, I used to love watching Toonami. All right, shout out to Toonami kids out there. But like they used to show some like OG animes. And animes were not very popular back then. So it was just kind of this weird, awesome niche place to like get your introduction to anime back in the day. And I love that Toonami is still around. But back in the day, they used to show the OG ones, right? Like Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh yeah.
And they all frequently talked about death, right? So as a kid, I had a concept of death, but again, it was still this like foreign concept to me. It didn't affect me directly, so I didn't think too much about it other than in like a creative, artistic sense. But my very first encounter with death was when I was I want to say I was in 4th or 5th grade. It was around there. And I had a pet turtle. And I remember I was so excited to buy this pet turtle. I went to the public market. There was a vendor of turtles, which now, looking back at it, I'm like, well, that's shitty. This person was selling turtles at the farmer's market. Fuck, that's kind of crazy. But bought this turtle. I was super excited. I think I called it Sheldon or something like that. I thought it was really fucking clever. But I bought Sheldon, bought a little terrarium thing for it, a little tank, and I didn't fucking take care of it at all. Like I was the worst pet owner imaginable as a 5th grader, and this tank got filthy, right? Just absolutely disgusting. And I remember that the turtle didn't die. Like I was just like, there's no, how is this turtle still trucking? I'm feeding it, but this tank is so dirty, but it's somehow still alive. So I think I'm doing this right still. And I remember eventually I woke up in the morning and I found the turtle dead. Like it wasn't moving. And I was so sad, right? Because that was my first real pet, Sheldon, my pet turtle.
Oh.
And so I talked to my parents. I'm like, very sad. I'm like, Sheldon's dead. And it's because I didn't take care of him properly. And you know what they told me, man?
I can
They
guess.
They said, don't feel too bad because that's not Sheldon. Sheldon died like 3 turtles ago.
Damn.
We've been burying the turtles out in the back, and we're not going to buy you any more turtles because you've killed too many of them. You're a terrible pet owner. You need to learn some more responsibility before we buy you another Sheldon. And that was really my first concept of death and my direct impact / relationship with death. So
Sure.
shout out to Sheldon. I was a shitty owner. I hope you're kicking it in the afterlife. I hope you found yourself, this awesome rock / pond to be in and just floating there forever. This episode's dedicated to you, Sheldon. But yeah, that was my first real experience with death in my world.
Okay, that's fair. I like that you got your parents had like a quota like in their head of like, okay, we get like he's not learning a lesson here. He's killing these turtles. He needs to know this. Like he's not gonna grow. Let's confess the lineage of turtles he has killed.
He's becoming a monster. We have to stop him now.
I mean, yeah, pets are usually it. Like sometimes, unfortunately, it's like a person in your life. But I remember like early on, yeah, it was pets for me as well. Like something that's died that I knew of. Like my fish. Fish always died. They did not live long under the care of Randissimo. And I remember I had like a tank of fish, just a bunch of, for all I knew, they were just goldfish. But at one point, like every day, one fish would die. And I would look at it, and it looked like something took a bite out of its side. And we would take the fish out, like flushed it or some shit. And then, just carried on like, well, all right. And then next day, same thing. A fish died. A bite was taken out of the side. We take it out. We throw it out. And at this point, it was like becoming like a serial murder case of like who was killing these fishes. Until it got down to like a few of them, and there was like 2 of them left. And one fish was fucking fat as shit. It was clearly that fish killing and eating partially all of my other fish until like the other fish got eaten too and we weren't looking. And then I was left with the fucking murderer, fat fuck fish. And it died like the next day too because of obesity. Like it just, its heart gave out and it fucking exploded. And I was like, well, that was horrific. That was a horrific fish owning experience. That's my first case of like murder. Like it's like Jesus Christ.
And murder mysteries. So I
Yeah.
guess it worked out.
Plus
But,
cannibalism, I guess. Yeah.
Why do I envision just like a fat ass like New Jersey mobster character for that fish at the end? Like,
That's what he
what,
looked
you never
like.
seen a fat fucking fish before? They call me fish fat fuck. What the fuck you looking at, huh?
Dude, that's exactly. He was squishy as fuck. Like it was just like kind of like a round rectangle cylinder situation. But still really short. Is that fucking? I don't know if it was like part shark or something, but goddamn.
You ask it, where's my other fish? They're sleeping
Where
with
is
the
it?
fishes. They're sleeping with the fishes.
Why do you know pun in the English language? Why?
You know what's funny? I also had a fish tank when I was a terrible pet owner. I'm so glad I'm better now. But I used to also have a fish tank, and it was very similar. I don't know what type of fish was the last one standing for you, but I went through the same arc with my fish tank, and it was the goldfish that actually killed all my fish. I actually found that a beta fish, I knew nothing about fish. I just said, that one looks cool. I want it in the tank.
Yep.
And I took a beta fish, which was known to be heavily violent with other fish. I didn't know that at the time. Now I know that. And I threw it in the tank with the goldfish. I legit, like, I'm still flabbergasted to this day that the fish that was supposed to be like the scrappy, MMA type of fish, the fighter, fucking lost to the most plain Jane of fish that there is, the goldfish.
Oh.
And I found that beta fish with its head jammed in the rocks, and it was lifeless, floating like this. I'm like, God damn, this goldfish is a monster.
Hit him with the pile driver. Like you know what that was? That was like Bob Odenkirk's Nobody. You know.
Exactly.
Just seemingly just normal being, then that can actually fuck you up.
So yeah, I took that goldfish and I just let it go in the pond here.
You belong to the streets.
It belongs to the streets. It was too street for my tank. It was the last fish standing, and I like to think that it's still alive, big as shit, just like murdering.
Oh yeah, like that, like Super Rat and Rick and Morty's Pickle Rick episode. Just like
exactly.
Yeah, I can see that. Shit. Okay. Shout out to that goldfish.
Shout outs to fish.
You know,
they're fucking terrifying.
probably like the most like underwhelming introduction to death a kid can get. Like, okay, a fish died. You can work up to that concept to like a full grown person, because I mean, no one really has mastered being able to handle people dying and stuff, or like your dogs dying or your cats dying. That's still very horrific. But I do like, man, I appreciate my friends with faith and shit, because sometimes it'll be something tragic, like my dog died, or like someone close to me died, and I'm trying to comfort my friends as best as I can, but ultimately it's like, they're dead. Like they do not exist anymore, and that really sucks. I'm really sorry about that. You have the memories, but I don't think they're like sipping like vodka Kool-Aid with like Santa Claus on a cloud. That'd be cool though. I want that.
You don't know, man.
I don't.
You don't know. It could be like OG Kendrick. All right, they're swimming in drink. Okay.
Maybe they're swimming in a pool full of liquor. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But with the whole darkness is coming from its all perspective. Kind of hard to comfort people sometimes. Kind of hard. I wish I was just like, yeah, man. He's like, they jet skiing with your two cats and your grandma. They good, man. They got like two biddies on each side. They good. But that's why we need to figure out this whole proving it, so that we could just know. And if we find out it's horrific, just agony of nothingness, I guess we could lie and just keep up with religion. I guess that works too. That's fair.
They could go the what's it called? The sausage party route, where everything is very flowery in our depictions of the afterlife, because in reality it's like horrific. And when we die, we actually go to this rich dimension, and it's just like total torture and despair. It could very well be like that. And we're both wrong, right? There is an afterlife, but it's also not the one that we like to believe exists. It's actually something terrible.
It's random and shitty, it's already awful.
Like this podcast.
Yeah, random and shitty. I mean, you know what I kind of hope? Like, that this podcast sticks with people so much that they choose to listen to this like right before they die. Like I want to hear them talk about titties and dead goldfish right before I die. Please put on my favorite podcast, grandson. In this reality, this generation has grown up 50 years and still listen to us.
I want someone's last wish to be, I want to listen to the Magic Conch, and I want to shit myself, and then I want to die.
Yep.
That's the order of things I want for our listeners. That's what I want for you. Okay.
Hell yeah. And you know, if you guys have like what's the craziest afterlife ideas you guys have that you want to see out there, you know, greenlit to reality, let us know. You know, I'm trying to see that weird shit. You know, like if you die, you have to come back as the animal you hate the most or something. You know, like you got to come back as like a fucking deer. I'm not a big fan of deer, but you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would come back as Steve Buscemi.
You don't like Steve Buscemi?
Not really, man.
Okay, that's fair.
Not really.
That's fair. He does look kind of weird if you know had to judge a book by the cover.
Got those weird wizard eyes, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to come back as like a fucking deep sea creature. That I guess maybe if I'm the creature, it wouldn't terrify me, but that sounds terrifying. Like
there's
if I
just
also
always
kept
a bigger
the fear.
fish. Yeah, there's always a bigger fish. Plus, if you come back as a fish, the fish I released into the pond will fucking eat you because it's still there.
I sense your spirit in this one. You imprisoned me for a long time.
You're
How
friends
would
with
you
that
like a
asshole.
prison? Yeah.
Jog music cues in.
But maybe you could discover a megalodon in that situation, which would be kind of cool. I don't know.
Also horrifying.
Yeah.
Also horrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
The ocean, I want no part of, especially when I learned about that shit as a kid in the prehistoric era. There was just always a bigger fish. No thanks. I'm good.
It's pretty. I'd rather die than experience the deep undercurrents of the ocean. Just no thanks. No thanks.
I don't want to be a blob. I know you love blobfish.
I love blobfish, but his existence is horrid.
Exactly. He embraces death. Blobfish embraces death, as you should, listener. Okay.
And I hope you guys have. I hope you've embraced death with us as we discussed. You know, we hit pretty much all the important parts of death. Like, there's nothing else we left out. There's no, trauma or anything like that. I think we got it.
There is one more thing I wanted to say. Okay. Death doesn't necessarily mean the end of life. There could be the death of things as well, right? So, like, I know you were sad as shit when your first smartphone died, right? I know you were sad as shit when your first PlayStation died. Okay?
That's fair.
These are all also experiences with death. I don't want to ignore them. But another one is death of relationships, right? That's another big one, right? So you can have the death of things without it necessarily entailing life. So, like, what's your opinion on that? What's your experience with that, so to speak?
Yeah, your metaphorical death equates to end meaning it can also lead to a form of grieving. Yeah. You know, we had like things like the breakup episode a couple years ago that kind of dealt with like, okay, something important to you ended and you feel like shit. And I think like a lot of the same brain activity that we experienced during like loss of someone, I think occurs with things like breakups or like, you know, losing your job or something like that, losing your house, your favorite football team not going to the Super Bowl since 1995, you know, things like that, like the death of things, death of hope. I mean, yeah, there's some
franchise, dynasty, a series.
Yeah, there's some equality to that kind of thing. I guess like with those things, I am happy about like, to me, death, the ultimate form of death is just that fucking like finale of something. Like it is not only like if like that thing doesn't exist anymore kind of death. Like that's done. Yeah. Versus like relationships, sure, maybe the relationship is done forever, but it's like, man, at least you both get to like ponder on that thing. But I don't know. I guess I guess actually it's really like it could be levels of death. I guess you can call it like that. Like this is like
Tears.
Diet death, you know, like breakups are like diet death.
Exactly.
I lost my internet connection while we were fucking recording this one. That one just felt like death. I'm just really
Loss of content.
yeah. It's like what the fuck. It's broke up the stream. I gotta edit this shit around in Audacity. I will want to die. The feeling of death coming.
Actually, he doesn't finish editing. He just murders himself, and he's just like, you know what, done. Not doing.
I won't
this
have to
anymore.
do it. Won't have to do it then.
But
You know, I don't know. It's like 2022. Maybe we'll figure out, you know, that fucking San Junipero version of the afterlife.
I was going to talk about that.
'Cause
Yes,
that'd be pretty cool. Where you could just upload your consciousness to like this kind of like reality of your choosing, that kind of mimics
AI.
human civilization as we knew it from the last 40, 50 years or so. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I would also say everyone's depiction of death is different, right? Some people celebrate it, some people mourn it. I love concepts of death in the afterlife where people die and they're like, I'm gonna get 40 fucking virgins, right? And I'm gonna get a Bugatti in the afterlife because I know I lived a good life according to these rules that I follow. So like, I always enjoy depictions like that because it's also pretty hype, right? Because it just depicts that like death typically is portrayed to us in a sense that it's sad, it's the end, you'll never have that thing again, kind of doom and gloom. But then I hear opinions like that, I'm like, oh well, you know what, death just sounds like another adventure. So I do want to close this episode by saying to you people, thank you for hearing us talk about mortality, the end of things. And I will say this, death doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of something, right? Death could just be the beginning. And just like this is not the death of Magic Conch, it's just the death episode, we'll be back next week for more awesome content.
Yes.
But where can they find that, Randissimo?
And you know, like, you know, death could be the start of something, or the death could be the end, and it just becomes nothing. And you can hear more about nothing on malpictures.com. You can find the Magic Conch podcast on Twitch live first. So subscribe to our Twitch page, Malum Pictures, twitch.tv/Malum Pictures. Then head over to our YouTube page where you can find videos of this podcast, the After the Act podcast, all the games we play. You can find that on YouTube at Malum Pictures. You can find all the content at malumpictures.com. All the links live there. Find us on socials, Facebook, Twitter will eventually be populated one day. Again, Malum Pictures, the Magic Conch, After the Act. You guys know
Elon
the
Musk
brands.
owns it now.
If you guys aren't following us, please follow us. We'll let you know the next time we're going to be talking about death, which will probably be weaving through every episode because it's just a part of life. But we love you guys. Our love for you still lives. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. But if you decided you still want to be Calcium with us, then tune in every Sunday and listen to a bunch of grown-ass men talk about absolutely
nothing.
Bye-bye now. Subscribe today.